Like I'm from the airport, there's no one that can match me.
So you've got your own business and you're doing everything you can to promote it, but marketing's
Hi guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys can hear me. Good morning to everybody. So the music's gonna go down now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you guys can hear me, kindly give me a feedback in the chat section. I'd like to know if you guys can hear me. I'd like to get some feedback in the chat section. If you can hear me, just say hello, say good morning, say hello, hello. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. You're welcome to be here, or you're happy to be here. Some reactions in the chat section if there's anybody here. If you can hear me, I'd like to be very, very sure that you can hear me. Can we hear me? Oh, great, 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 great. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. So nice to be here. It's the May edition of the HostNowNow Activate. And the Activate is the community building engagement of HostNowNow, where we try to aggregate developers and entrepreneurs and basically help to build them. And the way we do this with the webinar every month is to invite industry experts to share insights, to share knowledge, to share experience with the rest of us, and that way we can learn from them, we can learn from their mistakes, we can learn from how they've done it, we can learn from their failures, we can learn from their successes, and then we can go ahead to get ours done as well, or we can implement those things in our businesses. So that's so keen for us at HostNowNow, seeing as we're trying to be innovation partners in future of technology. And so nice to be here, everybody. It's quite a cozy morning, though. It's a cozy morning in Lagos. It started raining early this morning, and I'm sure some of us don't even want to get out of bed, as it were. But then we got to do what we got to do, right? The hustle continues. So it's so nice to have everybody here. One of our panelists is already here, Abel Adejoh. I'm going to introduce him very soon. Very, very soon. But before then, I'd like to just quickly go through some housekeeping. This event is not going to take more than an hour and 30 minutes as it usually is. For the first 5 minutes, we're going to have housekeeping, which I'm doing right now. Then we'll introduce the speakers. Then we'll have a keynote session from the two speakers. And the panel session, we get some feedbacks, and then whoops, voila, we're back, we're done. So I'd like us to please note a few things. To every attendee here, I'd like us to please note a few things. If you have questions, there's a questions feed on your Zoom platform. There's a Q&A feed, you'll see there. If you have questions, kindly put in your questions in the Q&A feed. If you have comments, you have reactions and all of that, you can use the chat feed, right? But if there are questions, we want to make sure that we attend to every question and, we're able to speak to everybody's concerns. So please, if you have questions, make sure you drop your questions in the Q&A feed so that one of our guys can get to it and then we can answer your questions. Francis and Abel are going to give their keynotes first. Immediately after that, we're going to go into a panel session. So we would appreciate that you ask questions, and please ask real questions. Don't just ask vague questions. I'd like you to please ask practical questions. If there are questions that pertain to your business, if there are questions that pertain to your brand, questions that pertain to your business's growth, and all of that, please ask practical questions. It'll go a long way in helping you understand better, and also to help the speakers, the panelists, to relate what they're teaching to your own personal experience as well. So please, if you have questions, keep them in the Q&A. Definitely we'll be expecting questions from this, during the panel session. So please keep your questions very, very important till then. Without further ado, I'd just like to go ahead. I can see Francis right here. Hey, bro, what's up? How you doing now?
Doing great, tonight. This morning, man. How's it going?
Great, very well, very well. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. It's been when was the last time I saw you, Francis? I think maybe
Probably 3 years, man.
It's cool, right? Wonderful. So nice to have you here. I've been following your work. We talk almost all the time, and it's been wonderful, the stuff that you've been doing. You are CC Hub for a very long while, and you've done tremendous work there, which is why you're here today, because you were able to work with a couple of startups there. I know hundreds apparently, and then you had to move to NG Hub to manage NG Hub at some point. That's the Facebook hub that was set up by Facebook here in Nigeria. So your work has been awesome. It's been speaking for you, and I know for a fact that the attendants here today are in for a treat. Thank you so much for joining. Really, really nice to have you.
My pleasure. Hey, Abel.
And then there's Abel. Hey, bro, what's up?
Hey, boss. How you doing now?
Hey, I'm a guy with this, so I'm a guy with this. Come on, how far are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Hi,
Great,
Francis.
great,
How
great.
you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Love your glasses. It's like yours is extra blue lights. Like yours is straight out. Like it's like Avengers. It's like it's from Avengers that you got your own blue light glasses.
Right. I will never come up for your body, Francis. Anyways, Abel, so good to have you here. Really appreciative of the work that you've been doing at Pettysave, right? I mean, I've followed Pettysave for a very long time, and you guys have been tremendously on a path of exponential growth, right? And it's awesome how that you always roll out new features here and there, making sure that you engage your community better every time. And I think periodically there's always a treat for your users and the general public. So I really appreciate the work that you do at Pettysave. The growth that you've been able to achieve at Pettysave is the reason you're here today. And I'm sure participants here would love to hear from you how you've built, how you've been able to deal with your, the setbacks, basically, challenges, the issues that you've had building Pettysave. And I'm so glad that you're here, because it'd be nice to share those experiences with the participants. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it, bro. Great. So very quickly, I'll just like to do a bit, just a little bit. I already mentioned a few things about the speakers. I'd just like to mention as well that Francis currently now is a partner, also works as an investor at Magic.fund. Yeah, that's correct. Magic.fund. I know Magic.fund is an aggregation of some really cool minds, sincerely, when it comes to investing. And these guys all have been able to work with startups over time, right, over the years, and they bring together their wealth of knowledge to say, okay, let's build a hedge fund where we can invest in startups that are promising, and then get the solutions of this young folks who are doing stuff, the innovations, gets it to, a wider audience, make it scale, and basically provide whatever it is they're providing to a small audience to a larger audience. And that's been really awesome. And that's the kind of work that we expect in the tech community, exactly, especially. So Francis, so good to have you here once again. Thank you so much for being here. We don't want to waste time, so we're just going to go straight into the keynotes. And the first keynote is going to be given by Abel. So let's sit back, let's relax, plug our ears, no distractions, make sure that you've gotten water if you need to, but please, let's be very attentive, and then let's listen to Abel Adejoh. Abel, you got the floor.
Okay, hi guys, once again, my name is Abel. I happen to be the CEO of Pettysave by luck. So I don't know what this guy has been saying since. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And very quickly, I'll be sharing, some of the growth strategies we used as a startup. When you are giving talks like this, it's always best when it comes from experiences, rather than just talking about something you find on the internet or, things like that. So yeah, we've had setbacks at Pettysave. We've grown exponentially, just like Emmanuel has said earlier, right? And, it's been a couple of mistakes from the start that has made us, do things better going forward, right? So when it comes to growth, let me start with two mistakes we made first that I think as a startup, you shouldn't make, right? If you make those mistakes, it's definitely going to hamper your growth, or it's going to slow it down. Now, the first two mistakes we made, first one was outsourcing the core of our product, right? So Pettysave is a digital savings and investment platform, right? We help people save, invest. Lately we've been going into different types of investments in the maritime sector, entertainment, agri, and all of that, right? And like I said, we are digital, but the first mistake we made was to outsource the tech part of the business, right? So we got external programmers, we got what's it called, external product manager. And at that time, it made sense because we were reducing the work on our side, but no, it didn't make sense in the end. We ended up wasting a whole lot of the money, startup fund, right? And it made us really slow. In our first year at Pettysave, we had, I think 700 users, a full year, 700 users, right? And that was because of the kind of hiccups we had with technology partners and all of that, right? So we outsourced the core of our products. It didn't go well at all, right? So what we had to do was to bring in our own in-house guys to actually build from scratch, understand your product first, right? Before you can grow, I mean, for you to grow, let's take farmers, for instance. For a farmer to grow an entire farm, he can't just throw any seeds around. He needs to understand how long it will take that seed to germinate. He needs to understand what are the benefits of growing such plants and all of that. So, take yourself as a farmer when you are trying to grow your startup, right? You need to understand your product first. You need to understand where you are going with your product, right? And you be the first person to, should I say, plant that seed before you now bring in hand, right? So that was one of the first mistakes we made. The other mistake we made was not paying attention to marketing at all, right? So in some context, marketing and growth, they work hand in hand, right? We didn't pay attention to that. I would say our first system of operation at Pettysave was word of mouth referrals, right? So it's me telling my dad telling his people, yeah, we grew and it worked for us earlier. But you see, if you have a very good product, you want to take it out there as fast as possible, right? You want to let as many people as possible know what you have as a product. That way, at some point, it becomes automatic. Like, you don't need to do so much work putting your product out there or getting a lot of people to use your product. So we didn't pay attention to that. We just stuck to what we knew: referral marketing, what's it called, offline marketing, printing flyers and all of that. For a tech company, that's kind of lame, I'll tell you the truth. So if you're a startup, you necessarily don't need to be in tech, right? But I want you to do some mathematics. Whatever money you spend to do print media and all of that, why not convert that into digital marketing? Just get someone who has an idea of these things and compare the results. You'll see that one goes way, way, way farther than the other one, right? So, marketing is a full topic on its own, so I can't really go deep into it, but those are two of the mistakes. Now, I'll give you 4 strategies for growth that we've applied and works for us presently. I would like to, let me give you the abbreviation. It's CDIC, right? So when you hear CDIC, I want you to know that those are the 4 strategies that we've used as Pettysave, right? So first of all, growth is the same as expansion, right? For something to grow, it means something is expanding. So first strategy is concentration expansion, right? Concentration expansion. Now, concentration, what does that mean? Should I say as a company now, or as a startup, most startups that you see, when they launch with one product or just one feature, it's not because that's the only feature they can think about, right? It's not because that's all everybody in the company has come together to work on. Most startups, before they launch, they have at least 5 to 10 ideas sitting on the table, right? But it's going to be a disaster for you to start all 10 at the same time, no matter the kind of money you have, right? You are a startup, like it or not. So the concentration expansion strategy, right, is for you to pick the one you can be the best as fast as possible. So see, you don't necessarily even have to be the best. I don't set out to be the best at some things I do, because it can be very, very, it's too much pressure on yourself, right? Now, have your product, make sure you're solving a problem. You don't get to determine if you are the best. It's the people who use your product that determine you are the best, right? So when you put pressure on yourself, oh, I want to be the best at this, and it's driving you away from your real goal, right, as a startup. So now, pick the product you think your team can work at as fast as possible, right? Try to be the best at it. I'm not saying you should be the best at it, right? Try to have the best solution out there. Let people use it and talk about it. So that's what we did. At Pettysave, see, if we list out the ideas we have to implement, I'm not exaggerating when I say till 2024, we have, like, if we release new features every 2 months from now to 2024, we will not run out of features. And these are not features that exist. They are like things that will excite the entire world. So, there can be this rush for you to just want to just put out everything. Everybody wants this, or you think everybody wants this, you put it out. So you can't manage everything at the same time. For us, we started as just savings. For the first 8 months of Pettysave, all we were doing was savings, right? It was in the 9th month we now brought out investments. Now, I won't say, okay, we are the best at savings or anything, right? Because we have companies that have come before us and they've captured a lot of the market, right? But I can confidently beat my chest and tell you that we have the best saving solution, right? There are two different things. We have the best solution, right? Just other people have a bigger market. So we've done that, and it has worked for us so far. That's our saving solution. So we did that and we moved to savings. So when you are building a startup, pick the best feature for your team to work on at that particular time and get very good at it. So that's what I call the concentration expansion strategy. Now the next one is diversification expansion strategy. Now, I talked about how we moved to investments in the ninth month. It's not because we necessarily needed to just put out a feature, right? But you see, when you've become good at something, or when your product has become good to a point that, this thing they call C finish. A lot of people have C finish for products, like it or not, for companies. So when you are very good at something, because you are used to quality service, it starts to become normal service, not quality service again, right? So at some point, you have to diversify as a company. So now diversification doesn't mean you need to leave your scope, right? So if you are doing just pure savings, for instance, as a company, why not put some twists to it? For us, we started with just auto save. So you are saving daily, weekly or monthly, and that was it. At some point, we now infuse target save, right? So on our website, when you come to our website, you see save for a car, save for land, and it will be blinking in your face, right? So it was interesting to our users, and we just did some what's it called, started some videos to show how to use this, and it was a whole new should I say world entirely, right? And it excited our customers. Diversification. When we brought in investments as well, that was just the killer. Last year investments accounted for about 72% of the entire revenue we generated last year. Investments, and we started as a savings company. What we do is to find out the best deals on the market, partner with companies and all of that, find the best deal for our users as well. And it worked perfectly. So diversification works as a growth strategy. Keep your users excited. You have to, whether you like it or not. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, right? The next one I said is that's international expansion strategy. So now you might wonder that I'm a really small company. How do I want to expand internationally? What do I know about expanding internationally? So let me tell you something. The 21st century startup, especially in our part of the world, is looking to be out there as fast as possible, right? So many startups these days, they even, incorporate in the US and Canada. Incorporating in the US and Canada doesn't mean you actually have to move there or travel with your staff or pay this or pay that. I think there are even companies who help incorporate as low as $250. Now, what does this do for you? I won't say it makes you a US company automatically, even though on paper, yes, you're a US company or you're a Canadian company. But see, when it's time for investors to come into your company, they look out for things like that. You know how volatile our currency is here or our economy is here, right? So when it's time to bring in investors, they are looking for something that is stable. So are you incorporated in anywhere where the economy is good? Let's work together, right? That's one angle of international expansion. The other angle is, I know Nigeria might be a terrible place right now, right, with all that is going on. But when it comes to tech, I think top 5 in the world, you would see Nigeria there, right? I had the story of a friend in my parents' church. I'd been going to see my parents, I think every 2 weeks in their church on Sunday, then I'll go back to my house. So I'd gone for almost 2 months and I didn't see this guy in church. I have to ask now, okay, where is this guy? I have to ask his parents, say, oh, the guy's in Rwanda right now. Rwanda, how did it happen? He didn't tell me anything. He said he went there for holiday, right? Just a 1-month holiday. He went to check out their tech side and all of that, He even applied for a 2-week internship there. and that internship turned to a job immediately. Like they didn't let him come back. They processed everything for him there, right? That's because of the advancement of the kind of tech we have here, right? So a lot of countries around us actually need what we have here, you know? So when you are building your products, it's okay to build your products for the local users for your first 3 months, but you have to start thinking international from the first 6 months of operation, right? What am I doing in Nigeria right now that can work in Ghana? Ghana is not far. Or what can I do in Nigeria that can work in Kenya? These guys actually need the tech that we have here, you know? So when building your products, when building your startup, you actually need to think international. It's very easy for you to move into international waters once you can solve some problems that they have, really. And the last one is C. I call it cooperative or collaborative expansion. Now, I'm talking of from the context of a small company, right? Now, there are small startups out there that have what big companies need, you know, and these small startups, they need what the big companies have. Now, let me explain to you. Some companies grow so big that they start to, you know, move away from their core. You know how maybe when some companies start and they call all their customers, you know, they speak to them on a weekly basis. They try to keep in touch with customers. They become very big at some point and they lose that customer-centric angle, right? So it's now more product. They don't care about the customers and all of that. But, you know, a lot of startups still cling to their customers. They find ways to communicate with their customers, right? So now, big companies, sometimes they come back to these small startups to say, you know what, we actually want your customers, we want to partner with you, right? Because your customers trust you, you know, they talk to you. So we want to give you something from us, you can, you know, send down to your customers. Because they trust you, they talk to you, so they believe in you. Now, there are ways we've done that at Pettysave. We've raised a lot of investments over the past 2 years that we've been in existence. I think last year alone, we did over $1 million, right? That's in crowdfunding. And for our first full year doing that, that was a big number for us, really. This year alone, first 3 months, we have already surpassed that. And that's because, again, like I said, we are very, very connected to our users. So they trust that whatever we give to them is the best for them. So what happens these days is a lot of companies come to us, we want to list this investment. It's not because they can't raise the money, don't get me wrong, right? It's because they feel that you as a startup, you actually have connections to your clients. They actually trust you with their money. So let's do a deal together, you know, let's crowdfund for me, and I give you this so percentage you give to your user. As I'm sitting right now, we have investment requests on our table worth almost 5 billion naira. That's like, I think like $10 million, if I'm correct. Yeah. And the entire last year, we did just $1 million. That's because over time, a lot of people have seen that whatever we give to them, whatever we promise to them, we actually give to them. You know, we deliver on time. There's no stories, nothing, especially when it comes to investments. When it comes to investments, we have the best rates on the market. I'm beating my chest to say that, right? So I know some agri companies come up with some really nice numbers and all of that, but they are focused on one product. So for us as investments, we have investments in the maritime sector. We're actually the first to do any form of investments in the maritime sector. That's micro investments. We have one coming in the entertainment sector as well, where people can sponsor movies, you know. You can sponsor movies, you can pay for movies to be shot in different locations, you split the profit and all of that. We've done in the real estate sector. I can tell you that there is no other, I mean, a lot of them are coming up right now, but when we started, there was no other person who even understood that market. And that has been the best paying investment on our platform so far. And we've also partnered with agricultural companies. You know, for a 2-year-old company, I can tell you that 90% of the companies we've should I say collaborated with are bigger than us. That's why, because they need that trust that we have with our clients, right? They need it to be able to raise money. While what we need from them is actually the deal we are getting for them. So if, for instance, we are getting 20% on a deal we sign with a very big company, you know that as a company, we stand to get something like that. We can just sit down on our own and say we are not doing. Let's raise money for just Pettysave. We'll find people money. No, that's not how it works, right? So for us, collaboration and cooperation. See, now once you've partnered with a very big company and things have gone well for the first time, imagine as a startup, you have something to do with, let's say UBA, for instance, or Zenith Bank, and it goes well, and you put it on your website. Our partners, you put Zenith Bank there. Zenith Bank, they put accounting on their website too. Automatically, your business starts to grow. People start to trust you on both angles. Now, if the small number of your users see that you've actually come up with Zenith Bank and things went well, obviously they want to trust you more. Same thing, if Zenith Bank users go to the website and they see, let me use Pettysave as an example, our partners, they see Pettysave, right? And you know what happens? They start to wonder, who is Pettysave? They start to check you out. They start to see the kind of great deals you have as a company. And that way, they see that, oh, these guys are together. You understand? Let's do stuff together. So those are the 4 major strategies that we've applied, and I think can work for any startup. It's not rocket science, really. Remember, I said CDIC, right? We have the concentration strategy, we have the diversification strategy, international expansion strategy, and cooperative or collaborative strategy. So I'll stop here for now. Thanks. If you have any questions, I'll be here to respond later. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Come on, that was wonderful. Guys, can we have a digital round of applause? Can we have a digital round of applause flowing for Abel? I mean, that was impactful. In 20 minutes, Abel was able to demystify the whole idea of growth for companies. Can we have, digital round of applause? I mean, let's have it on the chat feed. I like some feedback on the chat feed. Like some feedback on the chat feed. That was wonderful, Abel. That was really wonderful. I mean, of the 4 that you shared, right? I mean, all 4 made sense. I mean, one particularly struck me: international expansion. In other words, jackpot, right? Because when we all look at it, we probably all do that jackpot strategy. I mean, obviously, that's not what you're saying. I get it. You're trying to talk about how that as startups, we should build global solutions to local problems. And I think that's very important in the journey of a startup, making sure that we don't limit ourselves from the beginning, having to focus only on a market that is probably going to be expendable, right? There are only 200 million Nigerians in the world, because there are only 200 million people in Nigeria, right? So I think it makes a lot of sense, particularly that point, because I mean, when you look at it, definitely at some point when you start, you need to concentrate. Everybody needs to be able to say, this is exactly what you do. And then you diversify, which makes a lot of sense. You should have that international expansion strategy in place, just in case you get the opportunity to then expand to Rwanda, for instance, or somebody wants to now scale your business, get it to the UK or the US. It shouldn't be a solution that can only work here in Nigeria. That makes a lot of sense. And then collaborative. Awesome, killed it. Thank you so much, Abel. We're going to get to questions, so we'll get some questions from you. We'll get answers from you. I think, will you be able to stay? Because I know you had to run, but how far will your schedule? Are you able to wait for the Q&A? I'd like to know very briefly. I can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, I'll be here for you. Don't worry.
Oh, great, wonderful. So awesome. So during the Q&A, we'll get some more insights from you. Thank you so much for that wonderful session. Thank you very much. The love on the chat feed has been tremendous. Everybody enjoyed the session. Wonderful one. So without further ado, I'd like to waste no time. Let's jump to Francis, and then let's hear from Francis for the next 20 minutes, and then also learn from his wealth of experience. Francis, guys, can we have a digital welcome for Francis? Everybody, digital welcome for Francis.
Yeah, Emmanuel, I don't know how you expect me to. You not tell me Abel was going to be spitting so much fire. Should we just go to the panel session straight up? But that was an excellent session, Abel. Hey everyone, good morning. Excited to be here. Really happy to be here. Just quick background on myself. First thing is I have dread. That's probably the most interesting thing about me. My background is in management consulting. Did management consulting for about 2 years, a couple of years ago, and then decided to focus on technology businesses. I joined CC Hub, which was the largest innovation center in Nigeria, and by the time I left at the end of February this year, was the largest innovation center in Africa. And I used to manage accelerator programs there, like Emmanuel mentioned. Work with, I don't know the exact number, but at least 120 companies during that time frame across different stages to be able to help them grow, right? And nowadays, I'm an investor at Magic Fund, which is an early stage global early stage VC firm. Again, I think it's a good mix with the session that we have today, because like Abel is an operator, is someone who's building business on the ground. I like to call myself a civil servant, right? Like, civil servants are the ones that do the work for the public to be able to actually get their stuff done, right? So I'm a civil servant just there in the background doing ecosystem development. And I also like to take an academic approach in a way to the conversation today. Emmanuel, if you can give me permission to share my screen, please. What I want to do today over the next couple of minutes is just based off my experience using products and supporting founders across different sectors, across different countries, just share an approach. So Abel has done excellently well with regards to talking about the specific things that you need to do to be able to make growth strategies happen. And what I want to be able to share is more or less like the mindset, right? What does a growth mindset look like? And I would share that over the next couple of minutes. Okay, excellent. All right. So, but before we go into that, right? What comes before growth? Like before you get to the point where you want to grow something, there has to be something, right? There has to be something to grow. So what comes before growth? And just based on my experience, right? Some three key things need to be in place before you get to the point where you're then looking at scaling up and you're talking about growth. And that very first part of that is for you to have a very strong value proposition, right? It is important that you get to the point where, regardless of where you are at the stage of your company, you get to the point where you have a very clear value proposition that is beneficial to your users, right? And when, so I didn't have mistakes in this slide, and I think I put it in eventually. But when Abel mentioned it, it then came to my mind that while what I've put together in the slide is what you can do to grow well, it would actually be good to talk about some of the mistakes that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of them because I work with really early stage companies who don't get to grow as much as they would want to. And a lot of the mistakes that I've seen happen and a lot of the challenges that stop people from growing is taking so long to get to the point where they have a very clear value proposition, right? So that's important for you to focus on. Number two, that people also don't spend so much time doing is to get clarity about their customers, right? Like Abel alluded to, it's important for you to know what exactly it is that you're serving. And I like what Abel said with regards to when you're building a company, identifying key features that you want to start with and rolling those out. I remember back in the day, and I'm sure, I don't know if Abel or whoever has run the business before, you remember in your early days of your business, when we used to do our first businesses, if you want to build an application, you would have a feature list of at least 50 features, right? You will literally go and you'll be like, oh, the different thing about my business is that this guy does not have this feature. So you have like 50 features and like, oh, we have 50 features and we're going to make this thing happen. And then you go into the market and people don't even use any of those features, right? It's because to a very large extent, there's no clarity about what exactly it is that the customer wants. Right? So number two is clarity about your customers. And number three is for you to get to the point where you want to grow, your product has to work, right? And when I say a product that works, I don't mean just in the functional sense, right? I mean in the end-to-end sense. It has to be a product that is able to promise value to a customer and a product that is able to deliver value to that customer consistently, right? And when you have those three things, then you are set up for growth, okay? And the mindset, like after this slide, if you leave the conversation today, like you're done, like you're good to go. The mindset, I think, is really important. And I've seen this, and I think it's been interesting for me because for about 7 years, 6 to 7 years, I used to work majorly with African companies. And over the past 2 months, because I'm working with a global early stage VC, I'm working with companies from the US, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and the approach to growth and the attention to detail, to be honest, is quite different, right? And even though I'm seeing a lot more African companies do it, I think that we will get to the point over the next couple of years where it will really, really become a mindset. And the mindset that I've seen for a lot of founders across multiple sectors is having these three elements built into their product. And the first thing is to experiment always, right? You're always experimenting, you're always trying out new things, you're always getting insights, and you're saying, how do we test out this thing? And then when you experiment, you then document, right? Either from your new experiments or from the way your customers are using your solution. It is really important for you to always document, because if you do not document, you will not have any foundation on which you would grow, right? Like if you want to say, oh, how do I figure out how to improve sales? If you don't know what you are doing currently to improve sales, even if it's only 10 people that are selling to, how are they finding you? Where are they finding you? What did they like about the thing that you posted that made them that got them attracted to you? Whatever it is, document as much as possible, right? If it's an Instagram page that you're running, find a book, document. If you have a website, build data capturing systems into it, document, right? Because when you document, you automatically gain an edge over everybody else, right? And then when you document, you then experiment again, and you prove your experiments and double down, right? That's what the best people do. The best companies don't have 50 marketing channels that they're using, right? The best companies have proven strategies, right? They do multiple experiments across multiple demographics, and they know something that works, and they test it out. It works profitably for 10 users. What do? They prove it, they scale it to 100 users, they scale it to 1,000 users, they scale it to 1 million users, and they continue running other experiments by the side and add to that. That's the flywheel that most great companies that are growing super fast that they use, right? So experiment, always try out new channels, document, always observe your customers, your suppliers, everybody in your stakeholder chain. How are you observing them, and how are you documenting the insights that you get? And then very importantly, you have to prove a way of getting customers, either getting them to make a purchase, getting them to stay with you, whatever it is that is important for your business to grow, you have to prove it, and then you double down on it, right? And I think what will be interesting, like Abel already mentioned those 4 great strategies, right? I thought that the things I want to share over the next couple of minutes, if you guys do a simple Google search, growth strategies for startup, you'll see all of these things. You'll see all of the things I'll talk about over the next couple of minutes. But what I wanted to do was to try to tell it from the standpoint of the entrepreneurs, right? So what I want to be able to share is, how about we talk about some stories about how entrepreneurs have used different strategies to grow? How have they applied the process of documenting their insights? How have they applied the process of experimenting with those insights and then proving those insights and doubling down on them to be able to grow, right? And some of you know this lady, this amazing lady. Her name is Tammy. She's the CEO of LifeBank. It was one of the first companies I worked with when I was at CCL. Amazing solution. But the thing I always loved about LifeBank is that in the early days, and this is what LifeBank does essentially, back in the day, before LifeBank started, if you're in Lagos and by chance you had an accident or someone was pregnant and they were losing blood and they wanted to get blood, literally what the hospital had to do, the hospital would call all the blood banks in Lagos and be like, any blood O positive? Oh, we don't have. Oh, good morning. No, do we have this one? You don't have. They have to do that every single time they need a patient needs blood. And it will take hours before blood can get to them, right? And Temi came in, did something really simple, right? They started solving it manually. Back in the day, I'll go on the website and I'll be like, oh, see all this fancy technology. They must be using all these great technologies. That means that the hospitals are coming in and they're putting their data every day. And then the LifeBank team is getting that data and using that data to be able to like process all of these different things. But no, what they were doing, literally, they got the numbers of all the blood banks, and every morning they will call all of the blood banks. What do you have today? What's your inventory? Let us write it down. Midday, they will call them. End of the day, they will call them, right? They solved it manually. So what that meant is that the hospital only had to call LifeBank, right? And within 30 minutes, they did not only get the blood that they wanted, but they got it in the right condition that was needed for the patient, right? So if right now you've not figured out the technology, it does not mean you cannot build a growth system into it, because it's even better for you to build technology when you have solved something manually. Because if you are building technology without solving it manually, you're building with assumptions. When you solved it manually, you're essentially systemizing the things that you have done manually, right? So that's one thing that you can do. Another exciting company I really like, and this company was one of the fastest companies I know to reach 1 million users, and I call Rivi, right? And what they essentially do is cooperative banking, right? And back in the day, cooperatives, well, there's so much potential around cooperatives in Africa, right? But in a lot of cases, they're usually unable to pay for the service, right? So what did Rivi do? In the early days, Rivi partnered with, what's the name of I've forgotten the name, of focusing on the organization. The partner of the organization that was able to give them access to over 500,000 users, right? So like Abel mentioned, partnerships is a huge part of getting access to getting an advantage over over your competitors. Another example that I wanted to use here was Lara.ng. If you guys know that Lara.ng. Lara.ng is a solution that allows people to be able to get access to public transit instructions. But it is really, really hard to make money from it, right? It's hard for you to get people to pay for it. It's hard for you to get ads on a sustainable way. And then they discovered that even though users were getting this information on the front end, the data on the back end was very valuable to folks like Google, like Apple, who actually had things like Google Maps and Apple Maps. So what did they do? They structured their system in such a way that they provided data to these guys. So the users were able to use this thing for free, but someone else on the back end, who was their partner, was then paying them for it, right? So partnerships can also be a really, really interesting way for you to be able to grow. One of my best products, my favorite products, is Script, right? I always say that personally, I have brought at least 100 people into this solution. I'm sure it's a lot more, right? But when you have a product that works and you build word of mouth and referrals into it, it can change things for you, right? And I know Script is, I think there are over 10 million users now, right? And it's an application that allows you to be able to get access to books. And Script is a foreign example, but I'm sure there are a lot of local examples as well. Word of mouth and referral flywheel is really important. If you figure out that your customers are excited to talk about you, right? Why are you not leveraging on that? If you feel like there are people that would use your product and they will go on camp, it's not every product you post on social media, right? But there are some products, sometimes there's not even things that just maybe, it doesn't have to be like jewelry or stuff that makes you flashy stuff. In some cases, it's stuff that makes you think is relevant and valuable to your community, right? So if you either have a product that people are that they are willing to promote on their own without you even telling them, right? Or you figure out a way to be able to build that into your product, it is important for you to leverage on that, right? Because word of mouth is the cheapest form of marketing. It's the cheapest way for you to grow, right? So word of mouth is also an excellent way. So Fresh is one of, and it's interesting because I know that a lot of companies over the last couple of years have tried to build this healthy lifestyle, healthy living brand, and a lot of them have not been successful. And I know that the pandemic affected So Fresh, but before the pandemic, So Fresh was so great at building communities, not necessarily a physical community, but there was something about people that went to So Fresh, right? They were in a certain demography, right? There was, it made you feel like you were part of something for you to go to So Fresh. Even till today, I'm sure people that go to So Fresh actively, it makes them feel like they're a part of something. So in what ways can you build communities, right, around your solution such that there's some sort of loyalty, right? You make your customers feel like they're a part of a mission or they're a part of something that appeals to them personally, right? How can you leverage on that to then build that community? Because if you find one person who is passionate about something, they will likely have 5 friends who are equally passionate about it, right? And what then happens, it means that that network would continuously grow as well, right? And one of the best companies at content, and people say content a lot. Content marketing is very popular now, right? But it's very easy and it's hard. It's hard for you to do it, right? It's really hard. And the best company in the world, perhaps the best company in the world at content marketing is HubSpot, right? And I would say, especially from a content standpoint, even though most search engines and Facebook and all of these guys are prioritizing paid channels, so they prioritize people that pay, but there's still a lot of value around search and around content. And what I see that a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize when it comes to search and leveraging content is that, there are different things. There are two different ways you can sell someone something, right? Imagine two ways. And I had a session yesterday, and I was using a father rice as an example. Imagine that there are two different people. One person is in a situation whereby they go to an office and they go and meet people. I'm selling ofada rice, so come and buy my ofada rice. It is sweet. The pomo inside it is very, very, very delicious. There's a lot of pepper inside it, so it will make you really feel really spicy, right? One person is propositioning someone to come and buy. That's person number one. Person number two is in a situation whereby someone goes online to go and say, where is the best ofada rice in my area? Who do you think is going to have an easier opportunity to sell? Person one or person two? Right? It's most likely going to be person two, because the person who is searching for the products, they are looking for a solution to their problem. You're not trying to tell them what their problem is. They are already looking for a solution to their problem. And that is what content does, because every day all of us go online to be able to search for things. Oh, where can I get this Gucci bag? Oh, where can I get this earpiece? Oh, where can I get this phone? Oh, where can I get this? You're about to make a purchase decision, right? So whatever your product is, if you build your content marketing around that, it means that you're not only getting access to potential customers, you're getting access to potential customers who are looking for a solution that you're offering, which puts you in a much, much better place, right? A lot of companies also focus on technology and customer-centric strategies, right? And Paystack is one of the best at this. Back in the day, before Paystack, and again, everybody has it now. Well, I remember in 2015 or 2016, wanted to build a solution, and InterSwitch, VokePay, SimplePay, those were the options back then. And for you to use all of those guys, you have to pay 150K upfront. You have to, InterSwitch will tell you that you have to wait for 3 weeks or 4 weeks before they'll get the developer that will be able to help you with the integration. If you're not even a big ticket customer self, they will not even mind you, right? And Paystack came, and within 30 minutes, with zero money upfront, you can set up a payment integration. Change the entire game. Everybody has to play catch up, and they're the industry standard now, right? And a huge part of that strategy was also being very customer-centric as well, focusing on the customer and saying, how do you build the best possible things for our customers, right? And I see the conversation, a lot of people always say Paystack versus Flutterwave, right? And again, number one, I think the market is big enough, but they also have two very different approaches to building their businesses, right? So finding a way to build superior technology, right, that makes things that are currently solving that solution look obsolete is a strategy for growth. And then focusing a lot on your customers is also a really good strategy for growth. Now, lastly on the list, and again, I'm sure like there are like a million strategies out there, and I just selected this few. A huge one, and I think, I don't know if you guys know, but there's something they call the passion and creative economy, which is essentially the prediction that we're going to get to a time in the world where a larger number of us are not going to do things like jobs or 9-to-5s anymore, but a larger number of us are going to be like artists, right? But not necessarily from an entertainment standpoint, but from a creative standpoint. So if it is writing that you like to do, you spend most of your time writing. If it is drawing that you like to do, you spend most of your time drawing. If it is painting you like to do, you spend most of your time painting. Whatever it is that you like to do. And you would see that, maybe not so much in Nigeria, but even like with the growth of Instagram comedians, with the growth of all of these guys that are making money off the internet, it is a lot more in developed countries like the US and other countries where like people don't even go to college anymore. They're just like doing TikTok every day, and that's their life, right? influencer marketing is going to be a huge part of growth, right? And I chose Kola Alagbo because most of us have probably heard about it. I don't know what it is. I've never used it before. But if I think of either a sexual performance drink or alcoholic or bitters, one of the things that comes to mind is Kola Alagbo because of how they understood the customers that they were looking for, and they understood the right channels to be able to reach those customers, right? And they have done so excellently well. I don't know what their numbers look like, but I'm sure it's going to be excellent because they're everywhere and they're always in your faces, right? Okay, this was what I wrote about this stuff. So I'm just going to go back here and say that, again, it's really important that from a growth standpoint, right, for you to be able to do it consistently, you want to have the mindset. What is the growth mindset, right? And I'll switch document to experiment, and I would say always document, always observe, right? Either you're observing your customers, you're observing your stakeholders, you're observing leaders in your industry, you're observing people in different industries. Always observe. After you observe, always run experiments based on new ways to reach your customers, new ways to keep your customers, new ways to launch new products. And then try to get to the point where what you are trying to do is prove a certain strategy. And when you prove it, you want to double down and execute on it consistently. Looking forward to hearing you guys' questions. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That was a wonderful one, Francis. Thank you so much. Guys, can we have a wonderful reaction on the chat feed? Can we have a digital round of applause? That was mighty. I mean, listening to this alone, I mean, I feel like I can just go home and sleep. So when it comes to growth, my company is on a trajectory. If I have to implement just what Abel and Francis have shared here today, these things are mighty. And I like how that Francis had come with examples of companies he has worked with, companies he has seen in the industry, and how they have implemented the strategies that he shared with us, and how that everybody knows majority of the companies that he shared with us are widely known companies. I mean, even to the Kola Kalagbo that we all think some of us might not know. Even I know Kola Kalagbo. I mean, you don't. It's and that's the power of influencer marketing, really. And I really thank you, Francis, for sharing these strategies with us. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. I mean, it was wonderful. I was just going to go straight to questions and answers. So Francis is here, Abel is here. Guys, let's have your questions. Let's have your questions. I've got some questions I'm going to ask them, but I would really love if you guys have questions, preferably personalized to your business. Please drop them in the Q&A feed. You would see the Q&A feature on your Zoom, just below your Zoom screen there. You see the Q&A feed. Just tap there, write in your question, and let's ask these guys, especially if it's questions that pertain to growth in your business, right? Growth with your startup. If you're having issues growing your startup, you're having issues probably trying to expand or whatever it is, put up these questions. Let's see. If you're thinking of how to implement some of the strategies that they've shared here, this is your time now. This is the opportunity you have to ask these guys. I mean, you barely would see these guys every day, but then they're here out of their busy schedule. They've decided to, give us some of their time today. So please put in your questions in the Q&A feed. And while we wait for that, I'd like to go. And let me start with Abel, really. So Abel mentioned earlier that, when it comes to expansion and growth, there are 4 things that he would like us to focus on, which is concentration, diversification, international expansion, and then collaboration. Now, when a company starts, everybody would probably maybe concentrate on their business. We know some people make mistakes and then they try to do 12,000 things at a time. But then, let's imagine the startups concentrating on their business, right? Concentrating on their core, and then focusing on what it is that they provide to the market, right? How do they know when it is time to move into diversification? Because I don't want to believe that you diversify from the beginning. I don't know what you share with us. How do you know as a startup when it is time to diversify?
Okay, good question. So just like Francis said earlier, something about Paystack being customer-centric, right? It's very important that you don't just take that decision to diversify on your own. The way we diversified was based on the requests of our customers. Now, it's not just answering any request, because your customers will ask for a lot. And if you decide to do everything they're asking for, trust me, your company will fold up, right? But you have to now match what they are asking for, which one is in scope or in line with what you are doing presently, right? And if it's something, so this is how we did it, right? We listed a lot of the things we wanted to go into, and we started to do surveys with our customers, 2 different boards, right? So what are customers asking for? What do we have in our pipeline, right? And we saw that the next step had to be investment, right? So a lot of people, like I told you, we did savings so well that people already liked our savings. This finish came in, and most people just felt like, okay, that's all these guys can do, right? That's all we can do with this product. We are growing Pettysave to be the one-stop shop for money. So you really don't want people putting their money here, taking it out and going to do something somewhere else, right? So at that point, when we aligned that with our goal to make, Pettysave the one-stop shop for money, we saw that, what else can people do with money, right? That is not available on Pettysave right now. Let's build it in. Now we listed it out. We did a survey with our customers. These are the few things that we would want to do on Pettysave. What do you think you need presently? Should I say the same thing that most of our customers were looking forward to? So yeah, I would say that's one strategy we use to diversify. So you have to listen to your customers a lot, listen to your customers, match what they are asking for with your own project timeline or what you have, in your own roadmap to build, and that works.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Basically, get feedback from your customers. When your customers, your clients, your users begin to ask for a particular feature or a particular type of solution that you're different from the one that you currently provide, that's probably an insight to say that they need it or the market is ready for that. Thank you so much for that. And now, Francis, to you, I'd like to talk about product market fit, right? We both know that and I like exactly how you started your presentation. You say, what should you take note of before growth, right? And one of the things you mentioned was making sure that you have the right solution, right? So let's talk about product market fit here. Quick question. So let's imagine that this company, and then, this happens a lot when it comes to the lifespan of companies. A lot of companies started, a lot of startups basically thought, oh, there's a solution, there's a problem. Let us think of a solution and come up with it. You get that, right? So they see the problem, quite all right. And then we have a roundtable discussion, wonderful minds, we gather ourselves, mad guys, overnight meetings with all those rubbish we like to eat in overnight meetings now. I'll be put leg on couches, we take pictures, put on social media, something is brewing, and we come up with this wonderful solution and miss ourselves. Then we go to market, right? And then boom, a lot of buzz, probably influencer markets and everything. People are ready. Okay, what are they coming up with? We go to market and then it's like, after 1 month, 5 users. What's going on? When we thought it would be like by 5,000 at now, maybe 3 months down the line, 25 users. 30, maybe out of the 25 users, maybe like 15 are family members. What is going on? I see a problem of product market fit. Yeah. What can companies do when they find themselves in such a problem? Because with that, growth is stunted already. When any startup finds themselves in that situation, what do you advise that they do?
Yeah. And product, thanks a lot, Emmanuel. Product market fit is interesting because a lot of people, there are different positions on what product market fit means in the ecosystem. But I like what Paul Graham says. He says product market fit, you will know when it happens, right? Product market fit is when your phone does not stop ringing from customers asking to use your solution. Product market fit is when you sleep and you wake up and the number of customers you have today who are using and paying for your solution are more than the number that you had yesterday, right? What, from a practical standpoint, can people do? I would say it's really important, and people underestimate the importance of trying to figure out who your customer is. That is essentially product market fit. Product market fit is essentially getting to the point where when you are doing your presentation, you're not saying you have 1 million potential users or 200 million people in Nigeria, your potential users. You don't need 200 million people. The best, I have a chart that I always use, which is a chart about Apple and its dominance in the smartphone industry, right? Over the past 5 years, Apple has not sold more than 20% or 21% of all smartphones in the world, right? Less than 20% of the market share goes to Apple, right? But in 2018, in Q4 2018, Apple had 80% of all of the profits in the smartphone market share, in the smartphone market industry, right? So every other person is building and selling hundreds of millions of products, but most of the profits is going to Apple, right? It is because Apple knows from a very clear standpoint the kind of customers that they are going towards, right? So if your product is a luxury product, focus on luxury people and try to find as many of them as possible, right? So I would say in that point where you're trying to look for product market fit, what you're looking for is you have a product and you have market. Think of market not necessarily as markets, but as people. How do you find the people that fit your products in a way that when you go and talk to someone, you're not trying to explain their problem to them. They get it because they face it. They understand it because you are using the right words to communicate to them. And you build their product in a way that makes it easy for them to use it. So focus is on how do you identify your customers and how do you get to the point where the product that you are building solves a very, very, very clear problem for them. Just like with Abel's case, right? You figure out what it is, and then you do it.
Very well, very well. Thank you so much for that. So basically, it's still about the customers when we look at it.
Yeah.
It's about the users, it's about the customers. So you still need to get feedback from them to be able to, because I've seen this happen a lot. I have done it myself. Sit at a round table, overnight session, come up with wonderful product. Wonderful, as in this solution, forget to revolutionize the industry. So exactly right. So basically get to your customers, ask questions, get feedbacks, learn from them, then use their feedbacks to build your products. I believe that. Exactly. Because right now we're at a point now, the ecosystem basically says that if you want to create a solution, let your customers help you to build that solution. It doesn't have to be you alone. In fact, let them be the ones to be, let them suggest the whole ideas, everything. You just come and build something that fits into what everybody has been talking about, which definitely makes sense. So thank you very much for that. Somebody's asking in the chat feed that how do you build communities? I know Francis mentioned this earlier, says build communities around your users, right? And then Abel also gave us an insight into how Pettysave has been able to do that over time. And I would like to ask Abel this question. How do you build a community around your users, around your customers? And I know this is a very vague, a very large question, but I'd like you to, very quickly, just succinctly give us an insight into that.
So my strategy will not, it might not work for many people or might be tedious for many people. So a lot of what we did was offline marketing. Let me just call it that, right? It was a lot of offline work, right? So what we did when we started was to say, you know what, we want to build different communities in different schools, right? And we actually focused on schools that were outside Lagos, right? So now in the space we play in, Lagos is saturated. So most people are starved of what we have here, right? In other states. So see, in the land of, what's that adage? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is the king or something like that, right? Yep. When you take a solution to places where they've never seen it, right? It's not like it doesn't exist, but they've not gotten a taste of it, right? Automatically, you become someone they look up to, you become something they look up to, right? A lot of people want to associate with you, right? So a lot of what we did in our first year was to actually appear in some of these places in person. I actually traveled to like 6 different states in person, right? And we got as close to our customers as possible, right? We made it a very, very personal experience. Now, we built ambassadors in each of these schools, just 1 or 2 people, right? Show them what we can do for them, what this product can do for them, right? Now, they brought in a cluster of friends, they brought in a cluster of, should I say, classmates, a cluster of faculty. So it's in clusters like that, they begin to come together before it becomes a full-blown community. It starts from one-on-one, right? Then it becomes a cluster of different set of people, and it becomes a full-blown community. These guys are going to ride for you for as long as possible, just for the fact that they can put a face to it. You brought salvation in quotes to them, right? That is available to some people and they feel deprived of it. So once you can, it's always about the people and the solution you are bringing to them. So that was the strategy. We looked for what's it called, less saturated markets when they prefer the solution to them, show them that we're actually in this, for life, and you're able to build a community using that method.
Very well. I really appreciate that. And that speaks to the fact that you didn't even bother about competing with people or competing in a market where there are other guys doing the same thing in your industry. You basically just went to a particular place where you know that these guys are starved of these solutions. And then you went to, I think that makes a lot of sense, because with that, you spend less, for client acquisition, because in this other market space where there are 4 or 5 different guys, everybody is trying to put out stuff. You're trying to outdo yourself, right? You're trying to get the people, and everybody's trying to pull the attention of the user. Eventually, it's the person who spends the most or who does the best the most, I think, who is going to, have to win. Or that's what we think. So we want to double down and do a lot and, continue to do a lot more. So I think I really appreciate the fact that you're mentioning here that we should just look for markets that are less saturated and then get your customers from there, build your community from there. And that makes a lot of sense. And when we look at, building the community, because eventually it's all about scaling the numbers, right? Scaling your client base, scaling your revenue, scaling your EBITDA, scaling your profit, and all of that, right? And then, sincerely, I feel like there's a lot of issues with a lot of startups when it comes to scaling numbers, right? Let's be particular about client base, for instance. So these guys have done 1,000 users in the past, say, 1 year, right? But then, say first year they did 1,000 users, and then second year they were struggling between 1,000 and 1,200 or 1,500. Naturally, you would expect that they would want to scale to, say, 10,000 in the second year, or say maybe in the next 2-3 years, want to scale to 10,000, exponential growth. But then a lot of companies have issues with that breakpoint. There's usually one stronghold at some point. Now, if there are guys who are very, very traditional, they would say that delay is working with them, and then they're not able to get things done. But we know that it's just a matter of strategy and implementation to get things out of here. So, Francis, speak to this. What do you think? Do you think there's an ultimate holy grail to scaling numbers? Or, having worked with over 120 companies, and then you've seen some of them scale, yes, some of them failed. You've implemented strategies that worked, some did not work. What do you think when it comes to scaling your client base? How is the best way to do it, really? Especially when you're having issues with it.
I think for the best ones, and especially when you're in a stage where you've not figured it out and you're trying to figure it out, the best people they find something that they can prove, and they execute until they find it. I think, it's very easy for you to say, oh, let me try different things, right? Let me use different approaches. But if you are laser focused on saying, what can we prove that works? And when you figure out what you can prove that works, you scale it, right? That's what the best people do, right? That's what Abel's team is doing. Figuring out what works and then scaling it as much as possible, finding a way to be the best at what it is, right? So I would say it's about figuring it out and then scaling whatever it is. Until you figure it out, don't try to do a million things, right? Figure out what works, scale it. And then it's much easier when you figure out something that works and scale that, for you to then try out other methods that can potentially be effective.
So let me put this as a follow-up question. Sorry to cut you short. So
no worry.
How do you know when you've figured it out? How many clients should you have gotten to? What is the rate of, what's your RR rate or your MRR rate, whatever it is? What is it that you...
The reason why I don't want to be specific is also because this thing would vary from company to company, from industry to industry, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to vary from company to company. You would know when you know, right? That's just the truth. You would know when you get to that point, right? Demand is not something that you cook up, right? You don't cook up demand. Demand is gonna come, and demand comes when the right product meets the right audience, right? So I would say it's just about like when you get to the point where you're trying different, but the thing is, most people don't gather enough data to be able to inform that insight, right? So you don't know how your customers are using your products. Some people don't even know the things that the customers actually like about the product that their product is making them come back, right? So you're just saying that you're getting customers. Even if the customers is growing, at some point that growth will stop because maybe there was something that made them come and they're not seeing that thing consistently, or someone else figured out a way to continuously improve the value on that, right? So I would say it's about figure it out and then prove it, and then when you scale it, then do as many more things as possible.
Very well. I like that you mentioned that people don't people don't really see data as important as it should be when it comes to business growth. And this was my next question, and I'll pose it to Abel. I'd like you to also answer it immediately after that. Just 1 minute, guys, very quickly. So, Abel, what do you think is the place of data and analytics in business growth? Really, I mean, you would know it, Francis would know it, but not everybody knows it. Francis just mentioned a lot of people don't even pay attention to data. What is that importance? What is the place of data and analytics in business growth?
Okay. What like the name implies, data analytics, analyzing data, right? What's data? You are gathering a lot of information of your users, right? So now look at what we do at Pettysave, for instance. We have to gather a lot of data to be able to know what we are going to build next for our customer. It helps, how do I put it now? It helps slow down people need, and you are spending time building. See, we've made mistakes like that, right? So data analytics, how important it is that you monitor the behavior of your customers, right? The behavior of your users, that's like on your platform. For us, we monitor how how frequent the user deposits and all of that. You know, once you can do that by a whole number of users, you're able to determine you know, what kind of products you give to those kind of people. So over time now, what we've done is that there are some particular set of users that we've seen that, okay, these guys, every time we put out an investment, they buy at least 5, gather that number together. So we know the kind of investment you are going to tailor to those set of people. So think about it now. If, for instance, we don't have any form of data analytics on our platform, right? And a huge percentage of our users, say 70% of our users are people who earn 30K a month. Then we now go and put out an, right? How does that work? You don't sell out at all. So it actually shapes your business, data analytics. So that way, you know what is right for the person who earns 30,000, who earns 50,000. So, you know, data analytics involves a lot of collection upfront. What we've been doing lately on our system is we ask a lot of questions, right? That way we use it to create data for each user. We put them into categories and we know specific products to give to these guys. So we are not just building things and putting it out there, you know? So that's how it works for us. And I think that's how it works for most.
Great, great. Thank you. So, Francis, quickly speak to that in a few seconds, then we'll move on to the next question. Francis, are you there?
Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now. Your video is a little paused.
Yeah, I think my internet got waves. Oh, how's it now? Okay. Much better?
We have you now. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, I'll just reiterate what Abel said, right? I think what I wanted to pull out, and I like what Abel mentioned, which is regards to segmentation, right? I would say for people who want to more or less learn about data and analytics, they're not a software company, but one of the most interesting stories that I know is a company called Target in the US, right? They're a supermarket store brand. And they are one of the best at using data and analytics to grow. Literally every email, literally every touch point that the customer has with this organization is personalized to them in every single way, right? And you guys read the story, it's incredible. But the beauty of data and analytics is also in segmentation, right? Because while you might have one product, you have different type of customers in your customer base. And what data and analytics allows you to do is speak a different language to each one of them, right? So I would say that's again, it's important, it's absolutely important. But I also would say that it's important to not look at it as something that is big, regardless of where you are at. Don't look at data analytics as something that you need to have a data scientist or you need to have a big team that is focused on data analysis. No. In what simple way, even if it is Instagram, what kind of questions do people ask when they come to your DM? What kind of posts do people like more than others, right? What time is it best to post, right? All those little things, try to document them. You can document it in your WhatsApp, you can document it in your notepad, those little things, and then do them over and over again. Again, going back to the approach of figuring out insights and then experimenting and then proving them. So if you figure out that, oh, people like to engage with this kind of posts, do it more often because more people will like to engage with it and it's going to grow your business. And that's why I think.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to ask one of the questions that we have here in the chat feed. So someone says, as a startup, you have three different solutions targeted at three different markets, right? But you're using the same technology to provide these solutions. So let's say you can build one platform to answer these three different problems, to address three different problems. Do you create three different startups, or you use a single startup to provide these solutions? I think I'd like Francis to quickly answer that. Do you create three different startups, or you just one startup for everything?
I would say experiment, but experiment under one brand, right? I don't know about you, but I know very, very few companies that started with three things and succeeded like by starting three things at the same time, right? If there's a way, if there's a way for you to experiment these different sectors and determine the one that makes the most sense for you to launch with, that's what you should do, right? Amazon, Paystack, everybody always Pettysave. Not really, let's not even go far, right? He said they started with savings, right? And then when they have built it and they've gotten customers, it's easier for you to sell to someone that is saving. If someone is saving on your platform already, then you can add investment on top. If they are doing investment, then you can add insurance on top, and so on and so forth, right? It's the same thing with Apple. I use a Mac, I have an iPhone, I use AirPods, I use Apple App Store. It's still me, oh, they are squeezing me. But imagine if Apple came at once and said, come and buy Mac, iPhone, AirPods, come and buy all of these things right now. I'm going to be less likely to buy it, right? So figure out, try to run experiments in those three different sectors. And based on that data, you're then saying, oh, which one makes the most sense? Which ones are people demanding for the most? Which one makes the most sense from a profitability standpoint that will give you enough money? Because you need cash for you to run experiments. Which one will give you the most cash? And then when you build it, it's then easier for you to then go on to the other ones.
Very well. Thank you for that. So, Abel, please answer Jimson's question. So you say, and this is industry specific. As a startup in the agricultural sector, how do you think you can advance? I mean, I can think of a million ways, really, especially when you look at Nigeria right now and where the state of the economy is. But Abel, I know you've done some things in agriculture as well. So please tell us, as a startup in agricultural sector, how do you think you can advance in the sector?
Well, I would say that's one of the booming sectors right now, but the unfortunate thing is that most people are doing the same thing, right? So I can understand if it's difficult for you to move as fast as you expect. I think most agri companies right now are focused on investments, just raising investments rather than product. Agri is all about the product, really, not the money you raise. So now, there are so many hungry people in this country, right? I don't think the way for us to start a great company right now, I don't think I'm going to be running investments, right? I'm quality rather than quantity. So a lot of companies focus on just pulling in, what's it called? The money, they really don't know what to use it for. If I try to start an agricultural company, I'll go back to the core, right? And actually on agricultural produce, right? How do I get this to people's homes? Now, a lot of people see, You can play with so many things these days. Now, a lot of people are being, I mean, it's unfortunate that a lot of people are being kidnapped these days, right? So most people don't want to go out. You know, a lot of people still have to go to the market to buy food and all of that. How about you prefer a solution to get food to people in their house? That's raw food. You know, it might sound so simple, but it will shock you to know that some of these things don't exist, right? It's just very few companies who are trying to solve these issues. You know, I mean, I don't want to steal a lot of ideas that I have, because in the future it looks like we're going into that, but think of it that way. We actually need to be solving problems. Stop asking for money. See, I know it needs money, right? But if you come up with your own new agri platform now, and you go and put your own investment 50% in 2 months, slap it on Instagram and everything, yes, people will like it and all of that, but you'll most likely not raise that kind of money. You're putting yourself under pressure to double people's money without actually knowing what you want to use it for. So go back to the roots, right? Solve people's problem with agriculture. That's get, let's say, from farm to table. Let's put it that way, from farm to table, right? Do things like that. Get what people need from farm to table. I think if you can scale that, you are good to go.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. And I think, I mean, what Abel is trying to say here is you don't need to think of a huge solution. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup founders do this, make this mistake. We try to think of what is that big deal of a solution that we can come up with, you know, a kind of a solution that the world has never seen before. So we're thinking on an exponential scale and all of that. And sometimes all you just need is a very small, a very simple, a very local solution. Take for instance, I was driving yesterday around along Mobile Bank Anthony Way, just close to Isaac John in Ikeja here, and we got to we got to a traffic stop, a traffic light, and then while we're stopping to allow the lights to pass us, we saw like 12 bikes going to deliver something. All of them, not the same company, different companies, like 12 of them clustered, like they were all at the same. And, you know, we were wondering, wait, is this how much people send things through Lagos? You know, and as much as, I mean, it sounds so funny, just get a bike, get a plastic at the back of the bike, and then you are into logistics. But apparently, a lot of people are doing it because there's the market there. There's the demand is there. Immediately after that stop, so I mean, immediately we moved. Usually you can tell that those bikes will zoom off as if they are Formula One drivers. Boom, they were gone. And then the next stop, right, the Maryland bus stop itself, we saw like another 15 coming into Ikeja. I mean, guys, what's going on? But that's how you continue to see them almost every 5 minutes, almost every 10 minutes. So some of these solutions are not things that, you know, would blow the minds of the world. Guys, think small. Agriculture is, don't be afraid to think small in agriculture. Be local. And I think that's what is going to help us in agri. Everybody wants to build one big platform that would do something. You want to build a technology that would plant the crop, that would harvest the crop, that would kinika. Francis said something earlier. He said, solve manually and then scale with technology. A lot of the breakthroughs that entrepreneurs are looking for would come from a manual solution, a very simple solution that you now think of, or eventually how technology is going to help you to scale it. And thank you so much for that. And I'd like to ask my final questions. Every other question that we have in the chat feed, we're going to respond to and send the responses to the participants. But I want the final thing I'd like my panelists to speak to is the company where you're at, what you do, and how it benefits you know, small businesses. So we have small businesses here today, and I like Pettysave to go first, then Francis. Tell us about your company briefly, 1 minute. Tell us about your company and then how it benefits small businesses, you know, and what these businesses can stand to gain if they engage, you know, your community and all of that. Abel, please take the floor.
Okay, so like I started with Pettysave, we're a digital savings and investment platform, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, we help individuals to, you know, save from whatever they make. We help them grow their finance and all of that. So it's not limited to just individuals, right? It's individuals, it's entrepreneurs, it's businesses as well, right? So for every business to be sustainable, you actually need to have a buffer somewhere. For even as an individual, for rainy season, you actually need to have a buffer somewhere, right? So that's where we come in, right? We help you to actually keep some of the money you make. We help you to grow it as fast as possible, right? Everything is tech driven, we have investments as well. The thing is, to become wealthy, you can't become wealthy through savings. Savings is just for discipline. Investment is actually to grow your money, and we have both of them. So if you are very bad with money, right, we are the one place for you. You learn the discipline of saving money from here. You learn how to grow your money through investments, and we have some of the best investment products on our platform. Like I mentioned earlier, right now we still have the best ROI on our investments when it comes to the fintech market. You can check it anywhere you come, and we've never been late paying out investments or anything. So it's been great so far. And for anyone here who is not registered on the Pettysave platform, I would say it's never too late. I mean, you can join us today, check us out what you have, and let's grow your money for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much, Abel. Francis, you have the floor.
All right, guys. So I actually work at two companies. But I'll start with the VC end. So I manage the back office at Magic.Fund, and Magic.Fund is a global early stage venture capital firm. We invest in 5 markets. We invest in the US, in startups. Sorry, we invest in technology companies in 5 markets: the US, Latin America, Southeast Asia, Africa, and then Europe and the Middle East. We invest, our ticket sizes is somewhere between $100,000 to $150,000. And while we might not be a fit for everyone, if you feel like you fall into that category, please reach out. If you go to the website magic.fund, you'll see an email that you can use to reach out if you feel like you're a fit and you'd like to work with us. On the other side as well, I also manage strategy for a company called Ilium Health. Ilium Health is the largest health tech company in West Africa, and what they essentially do is build technology solutions for the healthcare sector, right? So it's very likely that if you go to the hospitals, it's very likely that some of the hospitals that you use, the technology that they run on is built by Ilium Health, right? So I'm not necessarily sure there's a link there, except if you're working in the healthcare sector and you probably like, maybe you need link up or you want me to be able to make some connections, do let me know. But outside of those two things, on the side, I'm always happy to, where possible, advise people who are building solutions, right? So you can check me out on Twitter at Francis_Sani, probably one of the best ways to reach me. And then hopefully, if I have some time, we can have a chat and I can support you in any way that you need support, right?
Great. Thank you so much, Francis. Thank you, Abel. Thank you, Francis. Very quickly before we call it a day here at the webinar, I would like some feedbacks from the participants, right? So I'm going to launch a poll right now. All participants, please take the poll. It's probably going to take you like, I don't know, say 30 seconds. The poll is launched. You should see the poll there. I'm going to let it run for maybe just 30 seconds to 1 minute. So just take the poll, a few questions, select, and then give us feedback. Let's see what you think of this event today. And then I'm going to also post some links on the chat feed section where you can find Abel and Pettysave. So I'm going to just post Instagram links to Abel and Pettysave, and then Pettysave's website. Same thing I'll do for Francis, Magic Fund, and then the Magic Fund website, and then myself as well. My name is Emmanuel Osubu. For those of us who don't know, I work with HostNowNow, and at HostNowNow, we're looking to become the innovation partners of the future in technology, right? As at right now, what we just do is basically domain hosting and cybersecurity and all of that. But I can tell you for a fact, HostNowNow is way bigger than that, and we have a lot coming in the next few months that would place us on that innovation ecosystem, and then everybody would definitely see it as far as you're connected to the tech ecosystem. So I'm expecting chat feeds, the poll reactions. I'm expecting reactions on the poll. Kindly, engage the poll very quickly. Just Exactly. I can see a lot of people. Engaging the polls. Thank you so much. And also, I would like to say a big thank you to all our participants and all our panelists. Thank you so much for being here. We pride ourselves in keeping to time. That is one thing for sure. And then 1 hour 30 minutes is 1 hour 30 minutes. Our word is our word. Thank you so much, everybody. It has been a wonderful 1 hour and 29 minutes so far. Thank you, everybody. I can see that from the poll results, which I'm going to share very quickly. We can all see that we have a lot of awesome. A lot of people enjoyed Francis' session. A lot of people enjoyed Abel's session. Definitely would like to see Abel and Francis again. So we hope that sometime soon we'll get Abel and Francis to come, once again to the show, to the webinar, and then share with us. We usually just have topics around growth and innovation, right? And then today's topic was majorly around growth. Some other time, definitely when we have another, topic coming up, we'll definitely reach out to Abel, we'll reach out to Francis to share some insights with us. Again, thank you so much, everybody. It's been wonderful. Have a blessed and it's cool out here in Lagos. I don't know why it's raining today. I mean, this is May.
It's good weather for the weekend.
Good weather for the weekend. All right. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining. And
Thanks
see
for having us
some other time. Thank you, Abel. Thank you, Francis. See you some other time. All right.